welcome to the Raw Report, episode 23. I am your host, Jericho, along with my co-host, Bones. Guys, we're back with the fantasy football season, and today we'll be going down the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL for the upcoming season. The fantasy season is on and popping. You know, we got tons of live drafts coming up in September. As a matter of fact, September 1st through the 3rd, RFS weekend, we're doing all the live drafts. We're very excited. We got different championships coming in. And I know that you're looking forward to this competition, Bones.
Of course, you know, as returning champion, 2 times, I don't care what you say, the football gods blessed me with 2 titles, not 1.
Listen, you need to stop making up stories out here, man. You're just making up stories. You haven't won any titles, all right, in recent time. All right, you got lucky last year with a DeMar Hamlin situation. We had to do a humongous split amongst the league. Nobody was awarded a championship, guys. We splitted everything because it happened right in the playoffs, right in the middle of the fantasy playoffs. So we split all the earnings and unanimous vote. So we're back at it this year, okay? The politics spoke, the league spoke, okay? Everybody took a vote. And you got to redeem yourself this year, Papo. What's going on?
Well, you know I'm going to come hard, strong, back great as ever. You already know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be top 5.
Yeah,
we'll be top 5. Tell them the backstory.
We'll see September 2nd. We'll see September 2nd.
Tell them how I was banned from this league from being too great, that you guys had to banish me.
Listen, we're not going to get into controversial topics on the show right now, man. All right, but you did get banned for a significant amount of time from the prestigious Polo League. We're back at it again. It's a high buy-in, high fee league. We got a Lombardi coming in. Live draft September 2nd, 9:30 p.m. Shout outs to the Polo League and the College Football League. We're all going to be present for that one. So without further ado, guys, we're going to get into it. Top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL for fantasy season. And my friend over here, you got first pick.
First pick, all right, well, in my opinion, no-brainer, Patty Mahomes. Reigning champion, had all the doubts in the world coming in last season. Everybody said, you lost Tyreek, it's not going to be the same team. And they were kind of right at first. But then he just flipped it. And look what he did. Over 5K in passing yards, 41 touchdowns. Come on. This man is a surefire first-round pick. If you want to go that way, if you want to secure some points week in and week out, Patrick Mahomes is not going to let you down as far as quarterback goes. He should be the first one off of your list whenever you decide to pick him.
I gotta agree with that pick. Patty Mahomes is a first ballot future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. 5,200 yards last season, 41 touchdowns, I believe. He is just an absolute monster, and there is no sign of him slowing down. As we've witnessed, his teams have changed over the years, and he still managed to win under the direction of Andy Reid, which we all know took a very long time to get to the promised land. And it seems like he's rolling smoothly with Patty Mahomes, man. He is an unbelievable quarterback. I know they're going to be gunning for him in all fantasy leagues. Now, the question might be which round you take him in, but everything is different depending on the league that you're in. Okay, so let's hope that nobody pulls like a stunt in the first round. All right.
It's happening.
It's going to happen. But I don't know about drafting him in the first round. All right.
For sure, we're going to hear some stories, about a month or 2 from now about how someone took Patrick Mahomes for their first round pick. And people are going to panic. Don't panic. All right. Best thing you can tell yourself, okay, the best quarterback is off the table. So that means that everybody else is going to be on even par with you when it comes to quarterback selection. You don't want to be that guy, but if you are going to be that guy, you get in week in, week out for surefire points.
That's true. So getting Patty, with the combination of Travis Kelce, I mean, it's a very effective strategy to have going into the season. But of course, you need additional weapons. All right. So moving along, I'm going to go ahead with my second pick and go ahead and pick Jalen Hurts. As you got the Philly Stadium in the back with the training camp. All right, so Jalen Hurts, man, he's just absolute monster the last few years. He took that Super Bowl loss last year, but the team remains stacked. All right, he has a ton of weapons. He has receivers. He has running back. We drafted a good amount of rookies in the draft. So I think he's gonna go right back to where he was, which is the Super Bowl, guys. I mean, I don't see anybody in the NFC East challenging the Eagles, to be quite frank. I don't think that the Giants have anything. And I mean, to mention the Cowboys, it seems like they got their own fiascos, their own dramas to deal with in their team, as usual. Okay. You got players holding out on contracts, the uncertainty of Dak Prescott. Zeke got let go in the offseason. So it's just like a reality show out there, man. So we're just gonna see what happens with Dallas. And then who else do we have? The Packers, maybe? Like, I don't know, man. I don't see anyone coming out of that division. The Redskins don't have anything. I mean, so Jalen Hurts, he's gonna be up there, top 2 pick. I think he's gonna produce a crazy amount of points, and considering that he can also run the ball. And we'll see what he got. He might win MVP.
You know, I can't disagree with that pick. That man hit the scene last year like no one's business. And not only that, he just came up in the top 3 and the NFL's top 100 list, voted on by the players themselves. So, easy to say that he's definitely a top 5 quarterback, in and out. And he also brings the rushing element to the game. So as a fantasy owner, that's heaven all day, every day. As far as number 3 goes, if it wasn't for a certain injury, a different player would be here. But I'm gonna have to go with Josh Allen right now. Because just like the first 2 quarterbacks that we mentioned, Jalen Hurts more than Patrick Mahomes, they running. They run it. They step up in the pocket. They know how to maneuver. They have great pocket presence, and they can get rushing touchdowns. Not on a weekly basis, but they all of them average at least 5 or more for the past couple fantasy football seasons, and that's something to keep them mind out. With Josh Allen, the man threw for over 4,000 yards, 35 passing touchdowns. So, and with the element of running, he's not easy to take down. I've seen, like linebackers go at him, and he's a beast. He's a monster. So if the following quarterbacks that we mentioned are already off the board, can't go wrong with Josh Allen.
Yeah, so I think that he's done good work during the regular season. I have a lot of concerns of him going into the postseason, being able to take Buffalo to a further distance they've been to in the last couple of years. To be quite frank, they've kind of dominated the division ever since the Patriots lost Tom Brady. The Dolphins are slowly creeping up. And all I gotta say is Josh Allen better watch his ass. I agree with your pick, Bones. I think that he is a great pick because of a certain injury at number 3. But he needs to get it together, man. Stephon Diggs is not really happy. And he just signed a brand new deal. So he's been kind of like sitting out, kind of like downplaying things, but we all know he's very unhappy. But that's basically because they haven't gone the distance that they need to go. And they've had up to this point a very good team. So I believe it's just on Josh Allen to step it up in the postseason. He is a regular season, standout. He's coming in very solid, but the playoffs come in and he kind of chokes. So we'll see what happens, man. But I do agree with Josh Allen as a number 3 pick. To move into the number 4th pick, I'm gonna go with Lamar Jackson. Baltimore. They gave in. They gave him a brand new deal. He is happy. They gave him a few wings out there. Odell Beckham Jr. signed a 1-year deal. I don't know how that's going to work because they have 3 other receivers that are completely qualified. And for him to be a 4th receiver getting $15 million in one season, I think that they're just looking for more backups. But Lamar does need to get his reps up as far as that arm goes, because I think he's only thrown for 3,000 yards one time. I know that he runs the ball a lot, but you want to play conservative ball, especially if you have a lot of receivers that you can throw the ball to. He might want to exercise that arm throw, but we'll see, man. He's always producing a lot of fantasy points just because he runs the ball, he throws the ball, and he is definitely a specimen. So at number 4, I'm gonna go with Lamar.
I see that. I mean, yeah, like we said before, he brings the element of the rush, and not only can he run it, he scores it. So yeah, that's a good pick. The next pick, it's gonna have to be Rocket Boy out over there in Los Angeles, Justin Herbert.
Nice.
This man has the cannon arm that a lot of people, seem to be very fond of. Um, I stats wise, he's going to bring it to you. He's going to bring it to you. He threw for over 4,700 yards last year, almost 5K, right? With that being said, though, only 25 touchdowns. Only 25 touchdowns. Josh Allen threw for less with 4,200 compared to this 4,700, but he threw for 10 more touchdowns. So that's why he's going to give you points, right? He's also my dark horse candidate out of this list to possibly have a down year, right? That speaks a lot. That's a full season, and this man couldn't couldn't hit 30, the 30 touchdowns plateau, which has, as the season progressed, has shown that's what separated the good quarterbacks from the elite. And people seem ready to crown Justin Herbert. I just don't see it. This man had a full season on his deck, but he's gonna give you the stats. But he's my pick right now coming in at this spot.
Yeah, I agree with your pick there. I mean, I'm always a fan of Justin Herbert. I think that he's been a very solid contributor in the fantasy football season, and I think that he is a long-term quarterback for the Chargers. If they can keep it together, they can go the distance. I think he's been very solid ever since the departure of Phillip Rivers. They definitely found their QB, man. It's just a matter of going the distance. But as far as the fantasy world is concerned, he is a solid contributor. I think that's a solid pick, especially at the top 5. So to move on to the bottom half of the list, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off with Trevor Lawrence. All right, he's gonna have his breakout season. He's gonna end up surpassing 10,000 yards career in his 3rd season, guys. So that's very impressive. So he just had about, I want to say, 25 touchdowns last season. If he can get it up to 30, he got his receivers back. Okay. Doug Peterson, they did him wrong in Philly. He's looking to, recreate himself out in Jacksonville, and it looks like it's going to happen. So they have a lot of solid contributors out there.
That's true. I agree with that. He shocked everybody when they beat the previous quarterback that I just mentioned, Justin Herbert, giving up a 27-point lead in the playoffs. But yeah, Sunshine definitely has some weapons coming up for him. And let's not forget the receiver that they just got for the free. They just got Calvin Ridley for a low draft pick in return.
Exactly.
And Christian Kirk surprised everybody last year. If you go back a couple episodes, you'll see that how I mentioned Christian Kirk definitely helped me out in my season, because at one point in time he was a wide receiver number 1, top 10 all across fantasy. It wasn't too long, but to have that kind of production for at least 3 or more weeks definitely helps out. 3 wins are a lot better on your record than 3 extra losses.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, man. If everything goes according to plan, I'm going to give the prediction, because Trevor Lawrence has managed to stay very healthy up to this point, 2 full complete seasons. We all know the Jacksonville Jaguars have not been the greatest of teams in the NFL, all right? So they have had to reshuffle their roster many times. So again, he stayed healthy, so injury is not a problem here. He's gonna hit those 5,000 yards now with Calvin Ridley back in the mix. He's been tearing it up in training camp, and he's gonna surpass those 5,000 yards and get 30 touchdowns, guys. That's just my personal prediction. Trevor Lawrence at number 6.
Coming in at lucky number 7, I'm gonna go with Tua. All right. All right. I know what everybody's gonna be saying and thinking. All right, but look at these great comparisons, okay? Now, everybody has a concern with the injury concern, because that's, he missed games last season because of a concussion, okay? He's taking the steps necessary to strengthen his body. It's definitely shown out in training camp, and I believe he's going to have a full season, on hand upcoming. With that being said, all right, my boy only threw for 3,500 yards last year in the games that he did play. But with all the games missed, he still threw for 25 touchdowns, the same amount as Justin Herbert had with a full season, okay? Now, imagine what he's going to do now with what Tua might do with a full season ahead, right? With a better understanding of the offense, which has look Crips. We have a top 10, a top 3 wide receiver in Tyreek Hill. Jalen Water will be wide receiver number 1 on plenty other teams. We basically have the same situation that Philadelphia has, and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Two great outside threats that can not only take it on the outside, but also on the inside for a short slant to the house. So I predict a high production value season from Tua, 30 touchdowns plus. He's very accurate with the ball, had single digit interceptions, knows how to take care of it. So that's my pick at number 7.
Listen, I wouldn't take Tua at number 7. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that pick. I might take him in the top 10, but at number 7, I think you're selling him high. He runs the risk of another concussion this year, guys. He needs to avoid the hit by any means. The line has to hold up. He needs to be able to have enough time to get in the pocket and really sling it out there, because if he starts scrambling all over the place, it's just not going to end good for him. He needs to put on some size, for goodness sake. You need to gain 20 pounds, 30 pounds, and he needs to be able to take a significant hit. You guys have way too many weapons for you guys to be like risking it on the fly, right? So you guys, plenty of receivers, plenty of running game. The coaching staff needs to be on point. I don't see why the Dolphins wouldn't get into the playoffs this year. As we mentioned before, the Bills as a team have struggled. Just Josh Allen, has come up short many times heading into the playoffs. So Tua, yeah, I think he's a top 10 pick. I wouldn't take him at number 7, but that, of course, I respect your pick here. They definitely have a lot of work to do, but I don't see why they shouldn't take the division this year, Bones. So, all right, I respect your number 7 pick over here, but my 8th pick, he had to overcome a lot of adversity in the last couple of years. A lot of people want to question his work ethic and his attention to the game, right? Now being in a different situation, it seems like the man has been cleared of all accusations. And of course, I'm talking about Deshaun Watson at the number 8 pick. He's still fresh in Cleveland, guys. So we need to give him time to adjust. Last season, he didn't play a lot of games, but for what he stood there, he did 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. It's pretty decent, considering he just, played half the season. We should expect a full season this year. And let's see what happens, guys. He's supposed to break out. As you guys know, he made the Texans contenders. The Texans have been a bottom tier team ever since they came in the expansion. So we should see Deshaun Watson do his comeback this year with the Cleveland Browns, his real comeback.
The NFL wants and needs Deshaun Watson to return to what he was before. Allegations aside, everything that that has to do with on the legal matter has been decided and closed. So football wise, we can just move forward and hope that he returns back to that form. So it's not a bad pick. Surprising. But you are right. He didn't play a full season. He was thrown in right into the fire. And it didn't look nice at first, but if he returns to anything close to what he was to Houston, that's a problem. My next pick, it's who I believe may be the next Deshaun Watson. And that's Fields. Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Week 9, last season. This man goes for almost 200 yards rushing. Insane. 2 rushing touchdowns. He threw for 1, I believe. I know he threw for 1, but damn, it was insane how he was running, how he was going up into the pocket, breaking tackles. If this man, which has spent an entire offseason learning the playbook, how to throw between the zones, how to throw outside the hash, he could be a problem. He could be a fantasy steal. This man right here, if he learns how to throw the ball effectively as well as he can run, that's Deshaun Watson all over again, just younger, maybe even faster. right? He's not as tall as Deshaun Watson or strong, but he's definitely faster. So you got to take that into account. He threw for 17 touchdowns, threw for 2,000 yards, ran for 1,100, and rushed for 8. Total of 25 touchdowns, 3,300 yards in total. That's a fantasy pickup at quarterback.
Yeah, even with all that being said, that's another pick I might have to disagree with in the top 10 is Justin Fields because I have not seen anything that would make me impressed at this up to this point. I don't think he can take the Chicago Bears to any form of distance as of right now. I think what you're speaking of is him Justin Fields
Just
having the hopes
production.
of reaching his untapped potential. So I give you a 50-50 on that because for any athlete in any sport, tapping into your untapped potential, it just depends where you're at in that headspace in that particular season at that point in your life. So I'm going to give it a 50-50 as to what you're saying. He's definitely a specimen, but can he tap into his untapped potential? So we can see what's going to happen in fantasy. I know that he can have his ups and downs. So I would definitely put him in the top 15, top 12. I don't know about top 10, but I respect the number 9 pick. So, moving forward, there's been a lot of hysteria for this guy, a lot of media, a lot of attention all off season long. And of course, for my 10th pick, I'm going to go ahead and pick one of the most consistent quarterbacks in regular season history, and that's Aaron Rodgers. All right. He has a brand new home in New Jersey. Okay. And he joined the Jets in the offseason. He has a hell of a weapon with Wilson as a wide receiver. He has a young buck as a wide receiver, and he requested a few of his old vets from the Packers, right? I'm going to put him at number 10 just because he's one of the most consistent fantasy picks to ever exist. The man turns 40 this year, brand new division, brand new team, brand new coaching staff. So we should see this is not the Packers division, guys. You got the Dolphins, you got the Bills. So Aaron Rodgers has a lot of work to do for a 40-year-old. So what have you here as a fellow Jets hater, my friend?
Now, I don't agree with him being a top quarterback, but it isn't about quarterbacks, being top of their positions or even how many wins they get. We want their production. We want nothing but their stats and their productions. And Aaron Rodgers is going to get his production. At the end of the day, he can still sling it. He's one of the best to ever do it. It may not translate to wins, on the field, I believe, because at the end of the day, the Jets are going to jet. And I can't wait to see that go down in flames. But as far as production value goes, he's going to get his. He's definitely going to get some touchdowns. He's gonna throw for some of these bombs. You might as well take those stats whenever you can.
Yeah, I have to agree. Okay, so he spent a good 4 straight seasons hitting 4,000 yards, anywhere between, 20 to 40, 50, even almost 50 touchdowns. Okay. Last season he didn't hit that because he didn't really have anybody, guys. So let's be honest. He didn't have no receivers out there. He has a young buck out in New Jersey, ready to run it for him. They've been building all of season long. They fell in love with each other. He gave him a diamond chain and everything. All right. I think he's gonna get his 4,000 yards and his 30 touchdowns, maybe 40 touchdowns. All right. So he has a lot of options. He has the vets to really teach the young bucks how to really get up there. You guys better be careful, Bones. The Dolphins, the Bills, bro. That might be the Royal Rumble right there, the fatal 3-way. All right, like Jets, Bills, Dolphins for the division, bro.
Let's see how it goes because we were saying this exact same thing last year about the AFC West. Remember, it was supposed to be the new coming of the Raiders. With Carr and Adams. Wilson in the division now.
I was big
With
on Vegas. I was big on
where you
Vegas.
you were big on Vegas. I was
Every
big on
episode, all right,
Wilson.
guys, Vegas.
To the fans, if you look on last year's top 10 quarterbacks list, we all put Russell Wilson in there for what? For what? You get me? So and then Justin Herbert. Who else is in that division? The Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos. Who
Kaka,
was the
that's
other
what's in
team?
the division. Kaka.
Oh, and the Chiefs. and the Chiefs, right?
Who's
So
gonna compete against the Chiefs?
everybody thought it was going to be a fatal four-way, and that shit was Kansas City all day, every
Listen,
day.
I had high hopes for Vegas, but they kind of screwed it up from the beginning with John Gruden and then Henry Ruggs and
Hey,
then Derek Carr being Derek Carr.
hey,
So
man,
and then Darren Waller getting traded.
hey, man.
All right, man. That's
You
why I'm like,
know,
man, that was my pick last season, and he just shit the bed all over the place.
let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. You know, all the Jets, most of the Jets team didn't want to be on Hard Knocks this season because they were in it just a few seasons ago. You know, so they're on Hard Knocks against it. Half of that team is doing Hard Knocks against their will. You know, the marriage doesn't seem happy in Buffalo between Stephon and Josh Allen, or Stephon versus whoever, you know, the beef is, right? And New England. You know, we're starting to see that it was Brady and not Belichick, and then we got Miami. You know, so let's see how this goes. I would love to see a triple threat. You know, like kill away the rest of the season. But let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think the Patriots have anything left in the tank. Belichick is gonna ride into the sunset eventually. They don't have the staff for it. He's just gonna keep juggling players until maybe he get that one playoff spot, and they're gonna be out in the first round. Bro, I think that the Jets might be cursed with that Hard Knocks production because as we've seen years after years after years, anybody who's on Hard Knocks, man, they're cursed, man. They just don't do good or don't do well during the season.
I'm
So,
ready to see it. No, the Brett Favre year.
oh,
This is
that's right,
exactly
that's
like
right.
2008. It's exactly like
Yeah,
'08,
that
bro.
one lone year he came in and just splattered everybody, bro. But that's Brett
And then
Favre, dude. That's Brett Favre.
it goes to show you how the Jets were. Brett Favre came here and they lost, and they didn't like they lost one. They lost in the last week of the season and missed the playoffs to the Dolphins. What did Brett Favre do the next year? Oh, only go to the NFC Championship game with the Vikings. So it
Did the
goes to
same
show
thing
you it's
all
the
over
Jets.
again. Did the
So
same
I'm
thing
I'm
all over
happy to
again.
see it. I'm happy to see it happening all over again. Another old past his prime Packers quarterback falling to the Jets, wasting their cap. I'm ready for it. I'm ready
You
for the
love to see
season.
it, bro. You love to
You
see
love to
it.
see it, dog.
Yeah, so I'm confident here in our top 10 RFS. Again, this is just our suggestions for Fantasy League. These are our top 10. We'll be posting that later on. And our next episode, we're going to get into the wide receiver or the running back. Our next episode, we're going to get into the running back category, which has been a whole load of controversy this entire season. There's a lot of topics to talk about. The running back pay, the running back consistency. There's still a boatload of running backs that are still free agents and have not been picked up. Guys, it's August 9th at this point, and nobody has been picked up. And there's a significant amount of free agents that we also will touch the topic on next week on episode 24. But before we get out of here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, hit the like button, connect on us on Instagram at Raw Fantasy Sports. I am your host, Jericho, along with my co-host, Bones. And we'll be back next week with the running back top 10 rankings, perhaps top 15. You never know, guys. We'll hit you up with some bonuses.